What up, y'all?
Oh, I'm just like, welcome
To the J&O Show.
where we talk about
Jordan Peterson relates Snow White to feminism and older women. And I was a little confused, but it sounded brilliant at the same time. So it was Jordan Peterson, basically.
Yeah.
Stay all the way to the end, because the way that he puts it all together is the way that only he could put it all together, basically. All right.
That part.
That part.
No, it was interesting. We're gonna push play, just watch.
There's another perversity in this that I really have a hard time figuring out, because I would say that by and large, the feminist movement that's at the bottom of some of the things we're talking about has been a left-wing movement. And I do not understand for the life of me how in the world it can be logically coherent that the left can be anti-capitalist, anti-corporate, and pro-career. Like, I just can't. Yeah, so there's that. So we could talk about that for a bit. It's like, okay, corporations are evil and there isn't any higher purpose you can serve as a woman than to serve one. It's like, okay.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Okay. That really wasn't the main thing I was trying to get to, but yikes. You know, it's weird that I never thought of it like that.
No, not really.
You're normal, and there is nothing wrong with you, okay?
Me neither. That's why I was just like,
I never
I
thought
had to
of
let that sink in for a second.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. That's one of the things that a lot of ideologies that are out there, feminism, the manosphere,
Manism.
manism,
The manism.
the manism, they have things about them that make sense and that are on point, but there's always a breaking point where there's something that they push really hard that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. That would be it.
The manosphere has something like that as well. The idea of the manosphere is really just interrelational dynamics between men and women and how that really works biologically, societally. But then when you have people break it down and start putting their own things into it, that's when things start falling apart, because you'll have people talking about, we think the best societal structure is a traditional structure, which is a nuclear family. But you should go out there and have intimacy with at least 50 women so that you know how to deal with women, even though that kills your ability to pair bond to one woman, and you'll never actually be satisfied with your wife because you'll have 50 other women to be.
Right. That don't make sense.
So
That doesn't make sense.
those are the types of things where it just goes off, but that's not necessarily a prescription of the manosphere. That's a prescription of one of its most popular influencers. So, okay, I said a whole bunch. We didn't even get to the main point yet. I'm shutting up. You got anything to say? I'm shutting up.
Like, okay, I'm not exactly sure what to make of that.
Now watch.
Then I want to tell you a weird little story too. I was looking at the Brothers Grimm Snow White version recently, because I went and saw the Disney Snow White version, which, you know, was exactly the sort of mistake that you'd think it would be, both to attend and to produce. And so I want to just tell you a snippet of that story. So Snow White is young and beautiful, and the evil queen wants that, right? So she's an older woman who is competing with the younger woman for the younger woman's advantages. That's the evil queen. Okay, now Snow White has to run away from the evil queen. Right, and where does she go? Well, she goes out into the forest, which is the unknown, but she goes to where the dwarfs are. Now, in the Grimm's brother fairy tale, the dwarfs don't have names, so they're kind of generic. But they keep an orderly house, and they work very hard. So the Grimm brothers dwarfs, now we don't know how old these fairy tales are, by the way. There have been some folklorists who've traced some fairy tales back like 10,000 years. They're very old. Okay, so it's wisdom speaking, you could say. So Snow White goes to what? To serve the dwarves. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that to escape the evil queen, she has to make a pact with ordinary masculinity, right? She has to serve the dwarfs. Now, why? Because they protect her from the evil queen. Now, among primates, there is a phenomenon called fertility suppression, which is where women compete, the females.
Bet I never thought about that with Disney.
Yo, bruh.
It's very interesting.
Like, for y'all that may not know a lot about him, I think most of the people that watch the channel probably know a little something.
Mm-hmm.
This is why Jordan Peterson is famous, because of his ability to pull narratives out of things that we all are familiar with in a way that we have never thought about it before and relate it to what's happening now.
I definitely ain't never think about no Snow White like that.
Well, you got that right.
Bruh. But here's the kicker, though.
What?
Is the same thing still happening today?
That's the funny part.
Is it that the older women tricked the younger women into turning against the men that would protect them?
The question is, and this is kind of a rhetorical for you guys to like sit and think about, was that the intent?
For what?
The older women of today, the evil queens, did they purposely utilize feminism to turn the younger women against the men?
Maybe. I don't know.
You want to believe the reason that they started it was because they wanted equality, because women were always in the workforce. So there's this lie that women weren't working, and they were. They were always working. They always working in corporate structure. They were always working the same jobs that they dominate now. It's always been female nurses. And that's one of the things that women dominate. And they're good as far as, making money and all of that other type of stuff. Women tend to go towards service jobs, right?
Yeah.
They take care of. They were dominating those way back when. The issue is they were held back from getting into the boys club so that they could be the CEO, the executive vice president of the company, but they were able to work every other job.
Specifically, and correct me if I'm wrong, have to fact check, but if I'm not mistaken, the feminist movement really started because white women were trying to have certain rights.
Yes.
And they brought along basically all of the other women eventually.
Yeah,
but
eventually,
But it was mainly white women who were trying to get the same advantages as white men.
Yes. I don't even know if I should say this because I feel like I read it, but it's not something I studied. That's different. I believe that it was second wave feminism where they brought in women of other races. First wave, it was just white women.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Or excuse me, Caucasian women.
That's what I think. I'm not going to make that definitive statement.
Okay.
Because I believe I did read that somewhere.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they started roping in the sexual revolution and all these other things. It became not what it started off to be.
Right.
Let's see what else they got.
That's very...
It's very interesting.
Things that make you go...
Now, among primates, there is a phenomenon called fertility suppression, which is where women compete, the females compete to suppress the fertility of other females. And it's a very widespread phenomenon that's well known among primatologists and biologists, and it definitely characterizes human beings. And so the evil queen in the Snow White story is suppressing the fertility of Snow White. Now, she runs away from that and takes shelter among the ordinary men, the dwarves, let's say, who are the positive side of the patriarchy, you might say it that way. When the evil queen comes back, she shows up again, right? And she offers Snow White 3 gifts. The first is a bodice that's too tight and just about strangles her. So that's exaggeration of it's a narcissistic exaggeration of sexuality as a temptation. The second is a poisoned comb, right? Same thing in slightly different guise, right? Right, she's tempting Snow White to be poisoned by the worship of her own beauty. That's a good way of thinking about it. That's what the evil queen does. The third gift is the poisoned apple. Now, of course, that harkens back to the Genesis story. Anything you incorporate is something that changes you. It's like you incorporate knowledge. And so it's poisoned knowledge. And the dwarfs can't save her from that. And that's the situation young women are in the modern world, because the evil queen feeds them poisoned knowledge. And the deep question is why? And the real skeptic would say, well, the older, jealous, childless women are doing absolutely everything they can to destroy the fertility of young women. Now, there's a corollary to that, which is this happened to Ayaan Hirsi Ali, for example.
Bruh. Dang.
It's just a thought.
I know that's...
I'm not saying he's speaking facts.
Yeah, but it's
But
just...
dang.
Yeah, I'm just like... Really?
Seriously? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, who knows? But that's a very, very interesting take. And I could see somewhat to be believable even, if I dare to say that. Maybe for some, maybe some who have arrived, they were able to reach that pedestal or that level career-wise that they wanted, but then they got there and got bitter because they realized that they missed out on all these other things. So now the jealousy, and I don't know, it could be something that's intentional. It could be unintentional.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Subconscious.
But that's deep.
Here's the thing. For the ladies that watch our channel, usually it's the guys, right? Usually, because most of our audience is guys. But for the ladies that watch our channel, you have to be very careful of what older women are telling you. You have to look at their lives to see if they're happy or if they're miserable. You should not take advice from someone about a subject that they suck in or if their lives are generally miserable.
Yeah.
Let's say they have a great job. A great career. They're doing really well in their career, but they're miserable. And then they tell you, this is what I did to do great in my career. Yes, but you're miserable. Do I want to be as great in my career as you are if you're miserable? Like if you find a woman who has a great career and she has the family and she's actually happy, she's in purpose, talk to her or split it up. The girl that has the great career, you talk to her about your great career situation. The woman that has the great relationship, you talk to her about her great relationship. The woman who has really well-behaved kids, talk to her about how she has well-behaved kids. Go to knowledge sources where they're actually proving, that they actually have what you want. That's number one. Number two, you have to be very careful because everybody who's giving you advice about something isn't doing it for your benefit.
That's foul, dog.
Right.
Why is it the stereotypical feminist is not the woman that most women want to look like or be?
Ouch.
But they follow what it is that she teaches.
I don't get it.
Because it's popular. It's pop culture right now.
That's wild.
And that's, my cousin and I were having a conversation a couple weeks ago about the realization. She went to an event. It was an event basically geared towards women that our church sponsored. And she realized with the conversation that the women were having, there are a lot of women who felt pressured to not live up to what they see on social media. Like they would
pressured to live up to what they see on social media?
Yeah, to be able to have that lifestyle.
Okay.
Like they would see their friends and other people that were like living the life, being able to travel when they wanted to, being able to go shop and buy the things, live in these extravagant places and different things of that nature. And, they consume this content. They're seeing this stuff all the time, like on their timelines and everything like that. And they would start to feel
anxiety.
Yeah, they would have like anxiety because they were not at that level.
Right.
And they felt pressured basically to get to that level. And it was weird to us, I guess, because we're from a different generation, or I don't know, maybe it's just the way we were raised. Shout out to my cuz, you know who you are, that it's like we see things like I see nice houses and stuff like that or whatever all the time. And I see things that people have on social media, but it's never like to the point where I'm just like having panic attacks or having anxiety because I don't have those things. It's just like, okay, well, I don't have it yet, you know what I'm saying? Or if it's meant for me, I'll get it. But I'm just going to keep on, I'm going to do what I got to do. Right. And you can use it as like a tool to be like, well, you know what? Yeah, I want to work harder so that I can try to achieve this. Maybe I can go, take my family on an international trip one year. You know what I'm saying? Like something to aspire to, but it's not something that's going to make me lose sleep at night. Whereas it seems as though with the generations that are coming up, it seems as though that's a thing. Like I would say people in their mid to late 20s and mid early 30s, it seems as though that's like a thing.
When Christ was tempted by the devil, what was one of his temptations? Bow down to me and I'll give you the world.
Yeah, give you the world. So
this ain't new. That's all I'm saying. This is not new. I don't think there's anything wrong with having money, being rich. There's something wrong with chasing it.
Yeah.
And most of us are chasing it. They lose sleep over it. And not just stress. I mean, just because you have to work.
When it becomes
12, 16-hour days. You're neglecting your family, you neglect your children, you neglect your wife, you neglect everything except for getting money. And we live in a culture now that praises that and doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. So I think that we're living in a completely different time that now pedestalizes everything that previous generations believed was a detriment to society.
Right.
And you have to decide for yourself if you think that's a good or a bad thing. Regardless of what your opinion is, which side of it you land on, you're going to eat the consequences for what it is that you believe. So if you're wrong, if you really want to stick by it, believe that, like, you believe that Christianity is wrong, you believe that Judaism is wrong, the Muslim religion is wrong, you believe that Buddhist religion, because all of them say that there's a problem with chasing money. All of them. Not that there's something wrong with having it, there's something wrong with chasing it.
For it to be your God, basically.
For all of these religions around the world to say that there's something wrong with it, we are now embracing it, while at the same time saying that the people who are at the top of the totem pole who have everything that we're chasing are really the evil people. Because everybody says corporations are evil, but everybody actually wants to be in the position that the corporation heads are in.
You know that I'm telling the truth.
Well.
And we praise it, but we hate the people that are at the top. So is it sort of the same thing as what he was saying as far as the evil queen and the young woman? Are we basically doing the same thing? Because the reality is we all want to be in the position that they are in. And we virtue signal by the things that we believe they're doing wrong. If we were in their situation, we would probably do the same thing because we worship money just as much as they do. Just a thought. Just put it together and think about it. Put it together and think about it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. You know, I know this is an unusual topic for us.
Yeah, but that was very interesting. Yeah. Comment down below your thoughts. Let us know what you think. I think that I'll never look at Snow White the same again. I'll tell you that much. If you guys made it this far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn on your post notifications, and give us a thumbs up so that way you can tell YouTube you appreciate what we're putting down.
What we're putting down.
Hey everybody, down in the description there are 2 links.
One is to a GoFundMe, and the other one is to a video that explains what the GoFundMe is for. Long story short, we have a medical situation with our daughter that we have to pay for everything out of pocket, and we can really use you guys' help. Yes. If you have the time, we'd love for you to go check it out. If you have the money, the funds, we'd love for you guys to help. If not, maybe you could send a link to somebody else who can help. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Press the out button.